Good evening, everybody. Let me kind of get in the frame here. This is Dr. Mulder, and today I have Santero David Longley here. Because of the news lately, I really didn't know much about voodoo. And this gentleman, even though he is a Santero, I guess that's Santeria. Is that what you're?
Yeah,
Okay.
Santero.
Okay. And anyway, he could probably give you like a little bit of information about the voodoo thing and Santeria stuff. But what we wanted to do is kind of go through, okay, how did you become a Santero? Where'd you get your start? And what I'll do is I'll just kind of let you take over the podium
I'm gonna tell
here.
a story.
Yeah, just tell your story, and I'll try to put you in the center frame. There you go.
Well, it actually began in Florida. I moved to Coconut Grove, and I had a friend who was into Santeria. And one day at a brunch I was attending, I wasn't feeling too well at that particular point in time. And my host came over and told me, he says, the Babalao, which I didn't know what that word was, had no idea, told me that you were ill. And I was actually. And so he introduced me to the man. He told me exactly what I should do for the illness. What it was, I had stomach ulcers, and it was painful. And so I was instructed to drink strained cabbage juice, a fruit glass each day on an empty stomach. Well, let me tell you, aside from the bilious color of the green liquid from the cabbage and the taste of it, it was pretty terrible. Anyway, it did cure the ailment. At the same time, my friend told me, he says, well, usually when a Babalao helps you with something, he was actually a curandero. And a curandero was someone who deals with herbs and medicinal things. And so you're obligated to pay for the service. And so I had made a fly whisk, which is sort of an African thing they use for cooking flies with. And I gave it to him. And after I did so, I was thinking to myself, now he has something that I've made, and that connects me to him. That was my thought. And maybe he might use that to control me or whatever. And so I had wrestled with that, and then I kind of got over it and didn't think about it anymore. So that was the first initiation into it. Then when I moved to Puerto Rico, we had a Halloween party and we were all dressed in costumes or whatever. And I had met previously this woman, her name is Siva. She was black as coal and she had eyes like ancient ivory. She was a very strange woman. Anyway, I'm not sure whether she was a witch, a brouhaha, as they call them in PR, or exactly what she was, but she had insights. And so we became friends. And at the party, I kind of kept away from her because I was a little afraid of her actually.
Hmm.
And I was sitting there. She weaseled herself over next to me, and she turned to me and said, "You're a wizard, aren't you?" When she said that, I just sort of like, "Oh my God!" I didn't think a whole lot of it, but it sort of frightened me in a way. And then I thought to myself later, and she also said, "By not answering me, you condemn yourself," meaning that yes, I was. And so, with that said, we became friends, and she introduced me to another lady friend we became very close friends. And her during that time, she said, "I'm going to go over to my bubble album. I need a reading. Me and my boyfriend are having problems or whatever. You want to go along with me?" I said, "Sure. I'm always willing to do a new experience." And so I went with her, and I met the Babalao and sat in on the readings. There was the whole process of how they do that. And I was really rather impressed because of what he told her. There's a whole process of how to read this. You can do it with shells, you can do it with coconut shell, a number of different objects you can use to divine the intentions of the Orisha Orumila. He's the one who is responsible for um, casting the Oruns. And so it was very interesting. I went home and I thought about it. I said, oh, that's pretty interesting. I wonder what he has to say about me. So I made an appointment to go and see him and to get a reading. And what he told me, I don't remember exactly at the time what he told me, but it fit my position and the time in my life exactly. So he told me that I was searching for spirituality, which indeed I was. And so, with that said, a couple of years passed by, and I continued to see him and participate in some of the rituals and what have you, celebrations. And so I became very familiar with a lot of the people who went to visit him on a regular basis. And at some point, I decided that I wanted to become a Santero. And so we went through all of that, and it's a long process, and you have to learn certain things, and you learn how to read the divination stones and shells. And so, with that said, we'll get into the initiation. First of all, yes, it does. It costs a lot of money, and originally we're going to do it in Cuba because that's primarily the Vatican of the Santeria religion. And that proved to be way too expensive, somewhere around 10,000, 12, whatever, which was totally out of the question because I was semi-retired at the time. And so we decided we would do it here, and that was another cost. It was 5,000. And so, with that said, it is an expensive process. Um, I can't really say why I wanted to be a Santero, except to bring the ideas and the philosophies of the religion to the gringos. I guess that's the best way to put it, the gringos, because it does have a lot to say. It is a religion. It's practiced in Nigeria and has been for centuries. And so it is old. It's not anything new. There are variations of it in Cuba, in Venezuela, in Brazil, and certainly in the south of the United States. They also have their the version of it also. Not to be confused with Voodoo. Voodoo is a whole different ball game altogether. I'm not even going to get into that, but just so that you know, it is not the same thing. I do not practice black magic or voodoo. So I really am forbidden to tell you about what the initiation curtails, although it does curtail having new clothes, most of them being white, and it is really a rebirthing, and that is exactly what it was. And I had a little problem with that because you have female attendants. You are treated like a baby. You are spoon fed. You are clothed, etc., etc. It's a little intimidating for males to be treated that way, especially after puberty. So it was really kind of an interesting situation. Nevertheless, I got through it, and for many years I practiced it. It's it is a religion that has a lot of philosophy attached to it. The philosophy of life, uh, how you live your life, and the way you treat others around you, the way you treat animals. It's um, how can I say this? Some people call it animistic, but at the same time, I have to say that yes, it is animistic, and it also deals with plants and the elements of earth, things such as minerals, air, water, earth, fire, etc. These elements have particular attributes that a lot of people are not really aware of how they fit into our lives, but they certainly do. I learned a lot of things that at that point in time is that, plants can speak to you, stones can speak to you. They are actually living things just like animals or you and I are. We're a living thing. And I continue to practice that, and it has now become something a little bit different because I have gone further than that. I've gone into the Hermetic philosophies, and I've also gotten into the Kabbalah. All of these things are really roadmaps for how to manage and travel through life, and that's really what it's all about, is how you manage your life and what you do with it. And so I think at this point, I having just turned 80, it is a mile point in my life, and I feel really very good about it. Is that I've made it this far in life, and I'm here. I'm vibrant. I work and continue with my art every day. I can I can probably say that it's like an obsession at this point in time. I can't be without a pencil or a brush or a book in front of myself. But it's a learning process, and I think a lot of people would do well to take a little time to do a little soul searching and find out just who and what they are about. Is there anything you want to add to that, Brad?
No, I mean, I think you kind of covered a lot of it. I had several questions, and
Oh, the first question was, what are elekes? The elekes are beads. Now, each one of the orishas, which we could equate to be as an archangel. There is a Rumila, there is Chango, there is Oshun, Yemaya, Obatala. There's actually 401 of them. And each one has a color or a combination of color assigned to them. And those are the beads that you see them wear. I did do a blessing in Puerto Rico where everyone got the siete potencias, which are the seven African powers, in particular Orisha. And so that's what Ilekis are.
oh, okay. Yeah, I think when we were down in Puerto Rico with Joshua
Yeah.
Warren, and I think we had the little conference down there
Mhm.
where a lot of people that I met there, I'm still friends with to this day. And uh, I think that was something you were passing out to us right next to
Yeah.
the lagoon or
Yeah.
the beach or
Lagoon,
whatever it
yeah.
was over there. Okay. Let's see. How much for the initiation? I think
We did that.
yeah, we already did that one. Okay, where'd you get initiated? That Puerto
Well, we
Rico.
did that.
Yeah, okay. Uh what did you have to give up because of this?
You really don't have to give up anything. The only thing I can say that I had to give up was some money, and that basically covers the cost of the initiation. I mean, you got to buy new clothes, you got to pay the people to feed you and what have you. So that's what the cost is of it. It can be almost anything that the Babalawo decides it should be, depending on the how should I say, the ability to pay.
Oh, okay. And see the next one was
Padrino
Padrino.
and Madrina.
Yeah.
Now there is also a Santero and a Santera. Santero is male, O, and Madrina, A, is female.
Hmm.
And so my Padrino was a male. He's the Babalao.
Oh, okay. And are you going to become a Babalawo? Or did you ever strive to become one?
No, I did not strive to become one because, again, that is even more frightfully expensive. It entails learning a great deal. If here in the Bible Belt, people know their Bible backwards and forwards. There is such a thing for Santeria. It's a book that is about, I'm going to say about 2.5 inches thick. You're supposed to memorize that.
Oh,
No way.
no, that's not gonna happen.
No way. And so, no, I did not go that far with it. I didn't really feel that it was necessary because basically what happens, the Babalao sets up a house. And so he has his following, just like a church. It's a regular church, and then you have your members. And it's basically the same thing.
Okay. And so there's no chickens, cutting off the heads of chickens or any of that kind of
Well,
thing.
yeah, and being a farm boy, that doesn't bother me at all. I mean, you have to sacrifice some things to how do I say it? to obtain what it is that you want in life. I'm a smoker, and everybody said you got to give it up, give it up, give it up. Well, that would be like that would be a terrible thing for me to have to do because I just couldn't do it. And so that would be considered a sacrifice if I were to do that because I'm smoking.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Um, yeah, so basically, it doesn't necessarily have to be sacrifice because I've seen some of these belief systems, it'd be a drop of blood or cutting off the head of a
Okay,
chicken and that kind of thing. And some of the stuff is on the darker side. I have to.
yeah, I would have to agree. I have no qualms about cutting a chicken's head off or wringing its neck or whatever. I did that when I was a kid on my grandpa's farm and whatever. But yes, there is that, and basically that is something you think is kind of strange because it's a ritual of purification. And so yeah, they wring the chicken's neck, and then the wings are on. They do it all around you to disperse negative elements, and then when it's used for cleansing, you can use it to eat. If it's used for something negative, to rid something from you of a negative manner, you will not eat it. You will bury it somewhere out in the woods, preferably.
Mhm.
So yeah, that does happen. But like I said, it didn't bother me. Would probably bother a lot of people that are listening. But it's part of it. It's a sacrifice, and you have to sacrifice some things to get what you want.
Hmm, okay. Yeah, I was kind of curious about that. Yeah, I had like I said, I've heard a lot about this voodoo stuff, and what was the main difference between voodoo and Santeria? I mean, could you kind of give it a 25
I
words or
would have to
less?
look at that and say Santeria is the white side or the light side, and Voodoo is the dark side. Although, knowing what I do know, Voodoo can also do good, and so it has sort of a shady side to it.
Hmm.
I have heard people being cured by methods of voodoo, of various illnesses and what have you, and they seem to be true. I've seen it, and so I have nothing against that practice, although I do not practice it myself.
Hmm. Yeah, I was just kind of curious about that. All right. Well, I think that kind of for the part one of today's show. When we come back, we're going to talk about sigils, about how they have, what gives them their power. I mean, you could all this is lines on a piece of paper, for example. What gives it its power? What makes it have some kind of a special energy to it? And I think that'll be the subject for our for part two.
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it. And okay, let me see if I can get out of here. And